Hey YouTube, it's Logan with Hideaway Homestead, that's Hyde, and I'm here to talk to you today about methods for planting trees. And now there's a lot of information on how you plant trees on YouTube and on the internet, but I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the way that trees grow naturally in a forest or in a woodland that's being managed by human beings. And I wanted to talk to you today about a method that is called pillows and cradles. So as you can see here, we have a little hill right here in front of us, and then down below us we have an indention in the ground. And it's actually a pretty deep indention, and I'm standing down in the bottom of it now, and it comes up well up above my ankles, maybe in between my ankles and my knee. And then the little hill over here is at about belly button height. So this is a big pillow and a big cradle. And right next to it, we have another pillow and cradle. And right over here, on the other side of these trees, we have a pillow and a cradle. Now, pillows and cradles are formed when trees are blown over by wind. As you can see, it's kind of a windy day out here today in the woods on our 9-acre property. And when the wind blows and knocks the tree over, it causes the root ball to pick up all that dirt and make a heel and leave an indentation in the ground, which would be a pillow and a cradle. One of the really cool things about this, as an aside on tree planting, is that if you go into your woods, you can tell which way the wind blew when the tree was knocked down, because we have our cradle here, which would be the indentation of where the roots were, and you have your heel. So if you stand to where you're facing the cradle and then the heel, that's where the trunk would have been of the tree. So we know that there was a heavy wind that came in behind me. Just a neat little aside that you can go in, and you can even, there's people that track historical storms using this method of going in the forest and looking at pillows and cradles. They're also called pits and mounds. That's another term for them. But let's go and look at a couple of trees that we had blown down and see what this would have looked like probably a good 50, maybe 30 to 50 years ago. All right, so let me back up here just a little bit. Got room. This is what that pillow and cradle over there would have looked like, almost identical. It's really kind of weird because this is a smaller tree, that's a larger tree, and they are side by side, just like those that we looked at a little further on into the woods. And as you can see, the wind was blowing from behind me, laid these trees over, and now we have two future pillows and two future cradles here. And the water has just dried up, but it was holding a good bit of water down here, down below the root ball. Now, the reason why you would want to use this method for planting your trees. Now, I'm not saying go back into the woods and find trees and knock them over, or to go and just plant into the hills or the pillows and cradles that you have in your woods. But that wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing to do. What I want to talk about is doing it yourself, just taking a shovel and digging a little indentation and then piling up all the dirt to one side and planting your tree in that little hill. Because what that does is it gives you the ability to retain more water when it rains, because all that rainwater is going to come down into that cradle and settle into the ground slowly. A lot of times the cradles can hold water for a day or two, so gives extra water to the trees. Another thing is that the tree is elevated, so it is allowed to regulate how much water is taken in. If you have a tree planted in an indention, then when it rains, that tree has no other option but to be submerged in water for however long it is that it takes that water to seep into the ground. So you're giving your trees an advantage by having them planted on that little hill where they can decide how much water they want to take in. Trees are like us. They like water. They need water to live, but if somebody forced you to drink cup after cup of water, you would get sick and eventually die. So this is a great method for planting trees. So let's go and plant a tree like this so that way we can see what it would look like on a man-made scale. All right, so here we are at our planting site, and when I said man-made, I meant with a shovel. So you could do this with a backhoe or a tractor if you really wanted to do some large-scale pillows and cradles, but for today all we're going to do is just do it with a shovel. I've got a little tree to plant, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, there goes FedEx, and putting my shovel into the ground like that, right at an angle about like I'd say maybe a 45, and then I'm just going to pick it up and lean it over like this, like I'm doing as if it were a tree root, or a root ball that's coming up out of the ground. So I'm gonna do that maybe, let's see here, about 3 times here. Like that. Cutting into the ground here. That's gonna allow me to lay all that over. So once I get done digging this, I'll come back and we'll plant the tree. So here we go. I've got my cradle now and my pillow. See, it looks like basically I just took this dirt out and piled it up to the side. And this right here is where we're going to plant our tree. Dig a little hole for him. And here we got our tree. Get it out of the pot. We got a little catalpa here. Some people call them catalpas, some people call them catawbas, but they're a really awesome tree for fishermen because the caterpillars that grow on them, which is a moth caterpillar, are excellent fish bait. And let's see, we're gonna get this little guy out. He ain't got too big of a root system on him. He's a cutting I made. I think we can get him out. Oh yeah. But I mean, pretty decent for a cutting one year. And this tree also is fairly rot resistant. I think maybe probably, I think I heard like 10 years worth of rot resistance in these trees. So they make good fence posts. And I'm to the point now to where I'm gonna need 2 hands. I'm gonna plant this tree and then we're gonna water it in a little bit and we'll be ready to go. All right, so now I've cleaned up around the little tree and mulched with various types of weeds around it. This is just to help retain moisture. I did it on the pillow and in the cradle. The cradle's still gonna soak in a ton of water and all this will kind of die down, but I really want to protect that because it is topsoil and you don't want it exposed to the elements too much, especially the sun, because that's going to kill a lot of soil life. But my little catawba tree here is doing good. Got some good growth on it. I'll let this tree get up a few feet tall this year, let it grow all year, and then this winter I'll come in and either coppice or pollard it to be able to get some good rot resistant stakes off of. So I'm gonna go get some water and water this tree in. And I appreciate everybody watching. If you like this, leave it a like. If you're into trees, permaculture, aquaculture, homestead, and any of that stuff, subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you in the next one.